What if I told you the future of naval warfare makes no sound, no thunder of missile launches, no roar of gunfire, just silence, and then death from above, delivered at the speed of light? This is Helios, Lockheed Martin's directed energy weapon system, and it doesn't just destroy targets, it sees them, it blinds them, and it erases them. Welcome to the age of infinite ammunition. For decades, naval defense has been a game of mathematics. Finite, expensive, brutal. A modern destroyer carries roughly 90 vertical launch cells. That's 90 missiles. 90 chances to stop an incoming threat before your ship becomes a floating coffin. But the enemy adapted. Drone swarms, fast attack boats, cheap, expendable threats designed to overwhelm your expensive defenses. Fire all your missiles at $2 million each, and you're defenseless, out of ammunition, dead in the water. So the Navy asked a simple question: what if we never ran out of bullets? The answer arrived in 2020, mounted on the USS Preble. Its name, the high-energy laser with integrated optical-dazzler and surveillance. We call it Helios, and it rewrites the rules. So how does it work? Helios isn't a single laser, it's an orchestra. Inside, multiple kilowatt fiber lasers generate individual beams at slightly different wavelengths. Then, through a process called spectral beam combining, they're merged into a single, devastating column of energy. Current output: 60 kilowatts of sustained power, but the design is modular, expandable to 120 kilowatts, potentially 150. To put that in perspective, 60 kilowatts is 60,000 watts of focused energy, enough to heat a steel beam to combustion in seconds. But here's what makes it revolutionary. Helios isn't bolted onto the ship as an afterthought. It's integrated, hardwired directly into the Aegis Combat System, the brain of the destroyer. That means it can receive targeting data from the ship's radar and send targeting data back. The weapon is the sensor. The sensor is the weapon. One system, three capabilities. Capability 1, hard kill. The laser physically destroys the target. It doesn't punch through like a bullet. It cooks. The beam heats the target's structure, aluminum, composite, electronics, until it weakens, warps, and combusts. Fast attack boats, drones, even incoming missiles. And because it travels at the speed of light, there's no lead time, no ballistic arc, just point and erase. Capability 2, soft kill. Helios doesn't always have to destroy. Sometimes it just blinds. The system can dial down its intensity and dazzle, overwhelm the optical sensors of an incoming threat. The missile's camera? Useless. The drone's guidance system? Fried. Now, the Navy already has a dazzle-only system called ODIN, the optical dazzling interdictor, but Helios does both. Hard kill, soft kill, in the same weapon. That gives commanders options: escalate to destruction, or de-escalate with a warning. Preserve intelligence, avoid unnecessary casualties. It's not just a weapon, it's a tool for controlled escalation. Capability 3, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. Here's the kicker: Helios can use its laser as a sensor. By analyzing how the beam reflects off distant objects, it gathers targeting data, often more precise than the ship's primary radar. That means the ship can see farther, target more accurately, and engage faster. The weapon feeds the system feeds the weapon. It's a closed loop, and it's lethal. Now let's talk about why this is a game changer. Traditional naval defense is finite. You fire 90 missiles, you have 0 missiles. You're done. You limp back to port and spend weeks rearming. Helios has unlimited ammunition. It runs on electrical power from the ship's generators. As long as the reactor's running and the cooling system's operational, Helios can fire again and again and again. The Navy calls this deep magazine capacity, a weapon system limited only by the ship's ability to generate electricity, not by the number of missiles crammed into storage cells. That means you can engage every threat. No more rationing your defense. No more letting cheap drones through because you can't afford to waste a $2 million missile on a $5,000 target. And then there's the economics. One SM-2 missile costs $2.4 million. One Helios shot, about $1, maybe $10 if you factor in maintenance. That's $250,000 engagements for the price of a single interceptor. Suddenly, it's economically viable to engage everything. Every small boat, every drone, every low-value threat that used to slip through because it wasn't worth the cost of a missile. You've just made the enemy's cheap, asymmetric warfare strategy obsolete. But the real revolution? Integration. Helios isn't a standalone weapon bolted onto the deck. It's woven into the fabric of the ship's combat system. It talks to the Aegis radar. It receives targeting from cooperative engagement networks. It can even defend other ships in the battle group by engaging their threats. And because it's modular, it's adaptable. Future variants could be mounted on aircraft carriers, amphibious assault ships, even auxiliaries. One weapon architecture architecture, infinite applications. So what does this mean? Imagine this. You're a destroyer operating in the South China Sea. Suddenly, you're facing a coordinated swarm. 200 commercial fishing boats converted into militia vessels. Each one carries cameras, communications equipment. Some have rockets hidden below deck. Traditional response? You'd have to choose. Engage the highest threats and let the rest through. Risk getting overwhelmed. With Helios, you engage all of them. Dazzle the surveillance boats. Burn through the armed vessels. Maintain continuous defense without depleting a single missile. Your magazine stays full. Your real missiles, the SM-6s, the Tomahawks, stay ready for the actual war. Because Helios doesn't replace traditional weapons. It preserves them. But this is just the beginning. Right now, Helios is a test bed, a proof of concept. It's learning how to fight. The Navy is using it to develop doctrine, the rules for how directed energy weapons integrate into fleet operations. How do you manage power consumption during a fight? How do you prioritize targets? How do you coordinate laser engagement with kinetic weapons? These lessons will inform the next generation. Future destroyers designed from the keel up for directed energy warfare. More power, more cooling, more lethality. Eventually, these lasers will be powerful enough to engage cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, hypersonic weapons. The threats that terrify naval planners today, Helios is learning how to kill them. But there's one problem. Helios is hungry. Modern destroyers are already stretched thin. The new SPY-6 radar demands massive amounts of electricity. Add Helios to that load, and you're pushing the limits of the ship's generators. The Navy's solution? Quote, very aggressive power management. In plain English, during a laser engagement, other systems have to shut down. Lighting, ventilation, non-essential computers. The ship has to choose, see the threat, or kill the threat. That's why future warships are being designed with integrated power systems. Reactors that generate enough electricity for everything. Radars, lasers, railguns, all at once. But for now, Helios operates in a world of compromise. And even with those limits, it still changes everything. Because here's the truth about Helios. It's not just a weapon, it's a philosophy. For centuries, naval warfare was about tonnage. Who could build the biggest gun, the most armor, the longest range missile? Helios says, forget tonnage, forget magazines, forget the old math. The new math is simple. Energy is ammunition, and energy is infinite. Somewhere in the Pacific, the USS Preble is on patrol. On her deck, Helios scans the horizon, waiting, learning, evolving, and behind her, the future is being built. A fleet where every ship carries the fire of a star, where ammunition is measured in megawatts, not missiles, where the speed of light is the speed of war.